Osho said that Adolf Hitler is not only a man of history but also a mirror in which humanity can see its own hidden face. He explained in a calm voice that Hitler was not separate from the ordinary human mind. The cruelty, the violence, the ambition, the hunger for power, all these things already exist inside human beings in a smaller measure. Osho said softly that Hitler was only the extreme expression of these tendencies. That is why he could rise to power, because millions of people unconsciously supported him by projecting their own inner hatred and anger onto him. Krishnamurti listened carefully, his eyes calm but alert, and then leaned slightly forward as if to weigh every word. He said in his gentle but firm tone that the real question is not only about Hitler as an individual, but about why so many millions of people followed him without question. He said that when a man like Hitler appears, he is only possible because human beings are ready to surrender their responsibility. Krishnamurti pointed out that when people are afraid, when they are confused, when their lives feel meaningless, they look for a leader, someone strong, someone who promises security. He said quietly that in this surrender to authority lies the beginning of evil. Because once you hand over your intelligence, you can be led to murder, war, and destruction, and you will believe it is right. Osho smiled faintly, as if agreeing, but also wishing to go deeper. He said that Hitler was not only a dictator, but also a master manipulator of mass psychology. In a soft, reflective voice, Osho explained that Hitler used symbols like the swastika. He used grand parades, uniforms, music, and fiery speeches to create a hypnotic effect. He almost turned politics into a religion where people worshipped him as if he were divine. Osho said gently that this shows the hunger of the human mind. When it cannot find God, it begins to worship power, ideology, or even a madman. Krishnamurti leaned back for a moment, his face showing quiet intensity. He said that this is exactly why he always warned people against following leaders, whether political, religious, or even spiritual. He said softly but firmly that truth cannot be found through obedience, and freedom cannot come from imitation. Krishnamurti explained that when we follow another, whether it is Hitler or even a so-called saint, we give away our responsibility to see clearly for ourselves. And when millions follow blindly, then destruction becomes possible on a massive scale. He asked almost in a whisper, "Why do human beings not see this danger? Why do they want someone else to tell them what to do?" Osho closed his eyes for a moment, as if meditating before speaking. Then he said gently that freedom is frightening to most people. To live freely means to live without certainty, without someone else to guide you, without security. Most people are not ready for this. That is why, Osho said softly, they would rather be slaves. Hitler promised them order, discipline, and greatness, and weak minds felt strong through him. Osho leaned a little and said that people live borrowed lives, so they also borrow borrowed strength from leaders like Hitler. Krishnamurti listened in silence, and then said with great care that Hitler also ruled through fear. He made people afraid of Jews, of communists, of anyone different. He created division and said, "We are superior, they are inferior." Krishnamurti said gently that division is the root of conflict everywhere, not only in Germany. When the mind says we are different from them, war begins. Hitler magnified this division to its extreme. Krishnamurti's voice became even softer as he said that as long as human beings cling to nationalism, to religion, to race, there will always be the possibility of another Hitler. Osho nodded slowly, then said in a warm voice that yes, nationalism and organized religion are dangerous diseases. Hitler did not create them. He only used them. He gave people someone to blame, someone to hate, and through that hatred they felt united. Osho leaned forward and said that the real lesson is not only to condemn Hitler, but to recognize the Hitler hidden in every human being. The anger, the greed, the will to dominate. Unless those roots are understood, he said gently, history will repeat itself again and again. Krishnamurti agreed, his eyes deep and intense. He said quietly that to understand Hitler is to understand ourselves. Condemning him is easy, but looking within is much harder. He said that each one of us carries the seed of violence, the ambition to succeed, the desire to be powerful, the jealousy when others rise higher than us. All these are the same qualities that created Hitler. Krishnamurti leaned slightly and said that unless each one of us becomes aware of these seeds in our own minds, we are secretly creating the ground for the next dictator. Osho laughed softly, not with joy, but with a kind of compassionate sadness. He said that humanity keeps condemning individuals, but never looks at the structure of the mind. He said gently that Hitler is not gone, because the human mind is still violent, still ambitious, still afraid. Another Hitler can appear any time. Osho leaned back, his voice becoming tender, and said that the only real solution is awakening. If man can become conscious, meditative, aware, then no Hitler can rise, because then no one will follow. Krishnamurti listened deeply, as if weighing the silence itself. He said in a very soft tone that awareness is indeed the key. To see our thoughts, our fears, our ambitions as they arise, without judgment and without escape. That seeing itself is the ending of violence. He leaned closer and said that if each human being lived with such attention, there would be no need for leaders, no need for followers, and no space for a Hitler. Osho said gently that yes, but awareness must be joyous, not a discipline. He said that Hitler was disciplined, but his discipline was ugly because it came from repression. True awareness, Osho said, comes from playfulness, from love, from being at ease with oneself. He leaned forward and said softly that only a man who loves himself can never become a Hitler, because love destroys the need to dominate others. Krishnamurti's face softened. He said almost in a whisper that love and freedom are not separate. To love truly is to give freedom, not to control. He said that Hitler could never love, because his mind was filled with hate and fear. And a mind without love is dangerous. Krishnamurti leaned back and said calmly that perhaps this is the final lesson. When there is love and understanding in human beings, there will be no more dictators. The two men sat quietly for a long moment, both aware that their dialogue was not about Hitler alone, but about humanity itself. Osho gently said that the world must learn to see Hitler not as a monster outside, but as a mirror inside. Krishnamurti listened and softly added that the ending of Hitler begins in each one of us, in our daily lives, in the way we look, think, and act with awareness.